Today we are on 𝕵𝖈𝖍𝖘 at Lachlan, and we're heading over to the castle, and quite an impressive edifice it is as well, right out on a promontory. We're here today at the McLachlan fortress or castle, which has quite a rich history. Some really quite interesting stories about people who have passed through these doors. Lachlan Moore was apparently a descendant of 𝕰𝖝𝖕𝖍𝖘 O'Neill from Ireland, who moved to 𝕮𝖆𝖓 in the 12th century. Due to other clans claiming the same descendancy, the McLachlans are linked to the Lamonts, the clan McNeil of Barra, the McEwens of Otter, and also the McSweens, Sween Castle that we visited a few weeks back. Ultimately, all these clans claim their heritage from the High King of Ireland in the 4th century Niall. The clan McLachlan crest is Fortis et Fidus. It means strong and faithful. There is a lot of symbolism on their crest as well. Their crest features a castle with strawberry leaves and sitting on a rock, which obviously explains the steadfastness. And once we learn about them, they were very steadfast. They were a, dare I say, proper Highland clan. They made their decisions and they stuck through them through the centuries. First documentation of McLachlans owning this land is in 1292, a Gillespie McLachlan. Their land had been granted by their ancestor Lamont. They're also mentioned in Edward I's Ragman rolls in 1296, I think it was. One tradition joins together the Lachlans or McLachlans and the Campbells of Strachur, and it's actually during the Crusades. They had a bond that if one fell in battle, the other would bring his head home and make sure it was buried in the family plot. A gory but nice sentiment, I suppose. There's a tale to be told during the Reformation. Apparently a Protestant minister travelled through here and offered a blessing or a prayer for the folks in the castle. They said to him, no thanks, we'll wait for the parish priest. And he said to have cursed them. And he cursed them in rhyme. I'm going to read it out, I'll not remember it. He said, O Lachlan, you're on shifting sand, nay, eldest son shall have a hand in furthering history on this land. Now that's the story. Historically, a first son has not inherited this castle in 500 years, so maybe some curses are true. I don't know. Also told tales of brownies. The little people, nearly went in my hoop there. The little people who were like elves or leprechauns, but could be a help or a hindrance depending what notion took them. I'm stuck. I would advise you to put decent boots on, because I nearly floated off on a railway sleeper there. You know, that's where I'm going. Yes, this particular brownie worked in the castle and had a great relationship with the McLachlans until he decided to marry one Marion Campbell, not my poster girl, a previous Marion Campbell. And the brownie really made it clear by causing quite a disturbance that he wasn't impressed by the match. But these things happen. Like all good castles, there's always a few good ghost stories. One I particularly like is the Blue Lady, or Lady Rosemary as she was known. The laird says she fell from the castle window and died, but there are stories that she was pushed. Obviously, because of this old curse that was running, the laird was aware that they had 3 daughters and they hadn't managed a son yet, and the discussion was that maybe she was being pushed so that she could be replaced with someone who could produce a son. Unfortunately, when the scrape what was left of her off the bottom of the castle, they found out that she was pregnant with a son. Apparently she still haunts here and will haunt here until the curse is taken off the castle. There is also tradition that she scratched in the bottom of windowsill the son you wanted. We can't see it. We can't reach very many of the windowsills. They're obviously doing a lot of work on the castle at the moment and a lot of places are blocked off. Still a stunning location though. Right, so Castle McLachlan's unusual because it's actually built in 2 sections. We were in the first section with a fence to begin with, and this is the other section. This section requires a right old climb to it, so probably to let the viewers know this is where I'm living now, because I don't know how I get up here and I really don't know how I'm getting back down again. My vertigo's kicked in. So if anybody wants to send food parcels. Right, since I've got till death to waste in this castle, tell you about the McLachlans and why I admire them. They stayed faithful and loyal to the Jacobite cause from day one. In 1689 they were present at the Battle of Kilmore. In 1715, the McLachlans signed the welcome to the old Chevalier on his return to Scotland to claim his crown. The McLachlan chief also stood alongside the Earl of Mar, which is why Campbell of 𝕵𝖃𝑗𝐿𝑎th apparently followed him like a hound for 5 years before shooting him dead. The 17th McLachlan chief, he stood on Culloden battlefield where he was shot down. It's estimated he had an army of around 200 at the time. His horse allegedly left Culloden and came to this castle swimming through Loch Fyne, obviously riderless, so those in the castle knew they'd lost their chief. The horse never left the castle until the day it died, and also apparently we can hear it whinnying on a cold night like tonight when I'm going to be in the castle all night because I'm too scared to leave. Following the defeat in Culloden, the government sent a ship to this castle and shelled it, which forced the McLachlans to move out and abandon ship. Duke of Cumberland ordered that the McLachlan crests and flags be burnt in Edinburgh. An unusual thing for the aftermath of Culloden was that the lands weren't forfeited. It was all to do with the timing of McLachlan's death. Because he died on the battlefield, he did not lose his lands. His son was able to claim the lands and actually claim them with the help of Campbell, who didn't make himself very popular but stood by his neighbour and helped him along. It is a stunning castle. I don't know how I'm getting out. Obviously the castle is quite a strange design because it's built as in 2 parts, but when we pan outside it, you'll see it's a very unusual shape. It's like the castle that a child would draw. It's properly castellated, and for a building of this age, that's quite an unusual thing. The McLachlan crest also has two deer on it. It's said that King Alexander II was demanding taxes. He was forming the border with England and Scotland in the 13th century, and he was calling in taxes, and the McLachlans owed money. The king said, well, I want the money, and I want the money the quickest way that you can give me the money. And tradition says that McLachlan attached the money to the horns of roe deer and sent them out to the king. I'm not sure if the king was that impressed or not. So that was Castle Lachlan, McLachlan clan stronghold. Maybe on the way home we'll go past the clan graveyard. There's an old ruined church on the road out, and we'll give it a go while we've got this far. Now that I've got out of the castle and I can get home. So this is the boardwalk and the bridge that the McLachlan clan of today have funded and built. It really is stunning scenery down here, and it's very, very remote. You can understand how the castle would have been very safe until the English shelled it. Right, there's the van, off to the graveyard now. This is Kilmore Chapel. It's the mausoleum of the chiefs of Clan McLachlan. It's one of the last surviving medieval church buildings on the west of Scotland, apparently. The original church of St Mary is believed to have been built here or near where St 𝕵𝖈𝖔𝖙𝖊 lived. 𝕵𝖈𝖊 brought Christianity to the area from Iona in 571. There's a lot of other names. I see Lamonts already, and McNairs, and a very interesting cross. Wow. This cross is obviously incomplete at the top, but as us folk say in Ireland, it's a queer age of a thing. This headstone is 1715-ish. It has a crown and a very well carved out hammer and an anvil, and it's a Duncan McFarlane's grave slab. Really quite impressive. As all post-Reformation churches, we have burials inside. The entire floor is paved with burials, though some of those slabs are very, very old looking, like before Reformation.